to tell you about our work, but do it through the eyes of two extraordinary women who are leading their organizations, doing some of the work that we do every day in deep partnership with our federation. Dr. Erica Rothblum is the head of school at Pressman Academy. Dr. Rothblum received her EDD in educational leadership from UCLA. She holds an MA degree in teaching from Loyola Marymount, a California multiple subject teaching credential, and a BA in American Studies from Barnard. And Rebecca Ruben, a graduate of our New Leaders Project, is the Associate Director of Student Wellness at USC Hillel. She's a clinical social worker and graduate of the University of Southern California, Suzanne Dwork Peck School of Social Work. Our federation, in good times and during this pandemic, has led this community. We identify our greatest challenges and seize on our greatest opportunities. It's never been more evident this past year, and it will never be more evident to you than during my conversations with Erica and Rebecca. Dr. Rothblum, it's so great to see you. I want to start by thanking you because your leadership through this crisis for your families and for the community has been beyond outstanding. So on behalf of the Jewish community, I want to say thank you.
Thank you. That really means a lot. Thank you. I appreciate it.
And I'm wondering, to start with, what you think the greatest challenges that you're facing now as school starts to reopen and we get back to some sense of normalcy in the coming weeks and months?
It's a great question. I would say that there's two pieces of this. One is what we're managing right here and now. So, we talk very often about how we're in COVID school, right? There are three models of school over the last 12 months. There's regular school, there's distance learning school, and there's COVID school. And COVID school is a different entity. Someday we joke that someday we're going to create a museum of all the schedules we never used and, all the plans that we made that we didn't need. And I would say that in the immediacy, just trying to figure out how we have kids safely on campus, how we continue to hold our community, how we try to meet the needs of students and families. And I would say the other piece that's very much on my mind is, what does post-pandemic education look like? What does the post-pandemic Jewish world look like? We know that people have faced in many cases, the greatest trauma of their lives. And how do we account for kids' social and emotional needs? How do we account for their academic needs? How do we account for the changes that families have gone through, that they're going to continue to go through? And so just really being prepared for what the next few years look like in our lives.
So I'm deeply proud of our multi-pronged partnership that the Federation has with Temple Beth and with the school. Can you talk to me a little bit about the value of the partnership in all of its many manifestations?
There are many. There are two that have been so strongly instrumental, particularly in just our survival this year. One is the financial support of the Federation. We've been able to provide scholarships to students who have been impacted by COVID, who otherwise would have to leave school. And I think, one of the things that we came upon a year ago was that this time it was more important than ever to hold our community. And we also don't have, endless resources. And so for the Federation to step in and provide some of those resources so that we could support our families, we really do have kids and families enrolled in the school who otherwise could not be here. And that really means a lot. And then I'll also, I'll talk about our ongoing partnership with the Community Security Initiative. First of all, as I've been trying to figure out COVID school and becoming a health expert, to know that I don't have to worry about all of those other pieces, it's just been so nice to have one thing that I can feel like, okay, experts have this and I don't have to worry about it. Even in COVID school, there are things that happened in normal world, right? A few weeks ago, we had to have a lockdown. There was a situation right outside our school. And so to figure out how to meld COVID world and security, to have the support and to not be alone when it comes to security, which is so important, has felt really supportive.
Thank you for everything that you're doing, taking care of the most valuable assets we have, which are our children. Thank you, Dr. Rothblum.
Thank you for all of your support. I really do mean it when I say we could not do it without you, and I'm very grateful.
Rebecca, it's great to see you. And I want to start by saying thank you, because you're on the front lines dealing with one of the great challenges that we're facing, a challenge that happened before COVID but was exacerbated by COVID, which is the stress, strain, anxiety, and depression of our college students on college campuses, and you particularly at USC. So I want to thank you. And I want you to talk to us about what you're experiencing in terms of your work and why it's so important for you to be focusing on this area.
This year's been really challenging. I know everyone in every demographic has experienced it, and at USC, it's been no different. I've seen a lot of really resilient students. So they were going into the pandemic with what you mentioned, high levels of anxiety and depression. And so many of our students just this week last year were sent, went on their spring break and found out that they would be staying home for the duration, at least 6 months, if not a year or longer. And in that time, students have had to address their families. For some, that meant becoming closer to family members. For others, that meant increased stress and anxiety from being online all the time, increase in eating disorders, suicidality, especially in terms of students who are coming out, LGBTQ students, really kind of, having to face these things alone without the support of their peers and their campus. And it's been really difficult. And as much, Hillel does so much and USC is doing so much to be present and in their lives virtually, but it's hard to negate how hard it is for all of us, but especially these college students who are their formative years. It's critical that they can be among peers, that they can be independent adults and practice independent living. And so losing that has been quite difficult. And I've seen incredible creativity in how they're trying to navigate and make this a meaningful time and make it work for them.
And this work that you're doing is, we're talking to you because this is a partnership that USC Hillel has with the Jewish Federation of Greater Los Angeles. From your perspective, talk to us about the partnership.
Sure. The Federation was involved in the earlier days before I joined USC Hillel, incubating the wellness programming. So we did hiking with Hillel, yoga with Hillel. All of these early iterations of what wellness looked like was provided by the Federation. And we've been so lucky to see students come to it, to really ask for it, need it, want more. At the same time that USC was seeing rising mental health issues and was really in difficulty accessing mental health support. So truly the Federation helped lay the groundwork for the Bradley Sonnenberg Wellness Initiative and continue to see it grow and to provide myself as LCSW, providing free counseling to any USC student who's interested, and growing our wellness programming as well for students in the general population.
Now, obviously, this is Jewish because we're touching the lives of Jewish students. But beyond that, when you look at this as your work, what makes it so Jewish for you?
Throughout the Bradley Sonnenberg Wellness Initiative, we're always weaving in Jewish texts, Jewish values, chesed, anywhere we can. And ultimately saving the life of one person, we know, is just is the work, right? And if we can help one person, we've helped the world.
So as the husband of a psychologist and the father of a psychologist, I want to end by thanking you, Rebecca. The work that you do is holy work. It's also difficult and challenging work. And I want to thank you for all the hard work you're doing to support our Jewish college students at USC Hillel. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jay, for your time. It's a pleasure to be here.